Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes. So, welcome everyone to our weekly Bhagavad Gita session. And we have a very interesting topic for today. We'll be discussing about demons. And so, these are demons within us, these are demons inside us. Very interesting topic. I found it while I was preparing for it, I was seeing uh, a lot of correlationship with what we all experience on day-to-day life and what is been spoken in Bhagavad Gita. It's so amazingly fitting for the time of today. Those topics which were discussed about 5,000 years ago by Lord Krishna. So the demons are within ourselves. We'll be focusing on the demons within ourselves. So there's a statement that they can't see the battles in my heart. Everything is happening within. From outside, I look very perfect. Outside, I look very happy. Outside, I may smile. Outside, there are no tears in my eyes. Outside, I don't look devastated. From outside, externally, I am able to put up a show that everything is fine. Anybody ask me, how are you, Prabhu? I'm saying wonderful and great. I'm doing well. However, things can be completely inverse within. Things can be completely upside down, completely devastated within. So there's a statement that found it very interesting. They can't see the battles in my heart. What's going through? What am I going through? Nobody can see. People see me smile, and then they actually believe that I'm fine. That might or might not be the case. So we'll be discussing today the battles which take place within ourselves. It's all within ourselves. There's another famous quote I found is about I stopped fighting my inner demons. We are on the same side now. So again, why would you want to fight? Because you don't want to go the way those inner demons are taking you. You don't want to go in the direction that they are pushing us towards, which means there is a battle on our hand. Things are not very easy deep within inside. Things are not hanky dory as they call it. So there is a battleground within us. There are battles outside that we fight. We whatever varnashram we could be in, we fight it with our job, our boss, our studies, our family members, our relatives, our friends, our enemies. Everything on the outside is there for us to those battles are there, and we fight those to the best of our ability. However, the battles within are also very important, and that is where we'll be focusing our attention today. So there is a beautiful verse which comes in third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's a 36th verse where Arjuna is asking a question. Third chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called Karma Yoga, wherein Krishna is speaking about how to perform Nishkam Karma Yoga, how to work in the world only as a matter of duty without having any attachment to the results, and whatever the results one gets, how we should surrender those to the Supreme Lord, and keep nothing for himself. Now Arjuna is asking a question here, saying that Nishkam Karma Yoga, which you have just explained me, why is it so that people in general are unable to follow it? And in that connection, taking this question further, the logic further, people are supposed to work in a selfless way. but people are working in the opposite selfish way. People are supposed to do good to others. They are supposed to do their duties, but people often we see are not doing their duties. Why? The behavior of the people is opposite. So if you don't do your prescribed duties, you will incur sin. Krishna has already told Arjuna in the 33rd verse of second chapter. So now Arjuna is asking question on behalf of all the people, that why is it that people are forced to act in a sinful way, in a parapap, in by in to incur papa, get indulge into a activity which can be labeled as a papa. So Arjuna asked this beautiful question: Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushah anichan api varshneya bala baladiva niyojitaha. O descendant of Vrishni, that's he's addressing to Krishna. O Vrishneya, um, why is it? Why is it by what one is impelled to do sinful actions? Why people are forcibly compelled to do sinful actions, even unwillingly, अनिच्छा. इच्छा is desire, मैं deliberately करूंगा. अनिच्छेन is without any having desire also. Why people indulge in sinful actions? Why people do horrible things? And even unwillingly, as if engaged by a force. Now, people don't want, anicca indicates very clearly that Arjuna is worried for those people, worried about those people, that people in general, he believes he's a devotee. So he believes in general people are good hearted, people are kind hearted, people have compassion, people enjoy though their other success. People should become happy when others are successful than them. Seeing other people happy when you are successful, when they are successful, seeing those who are less successful than you should feel compassionate for them. And that this is how people should be, but what people do are exactly the opposite things. And so, and they not only think that way, they act on those thoughts also, and that's why they end up indulging in sinful actions. And he believes that people in general are good, but somebody is forcibly compelling them to act in that way, they act in a sinful way. So Arjuna is asking this beautiful question. A news report appeared in the recent internet on 20th June. It appeared this year, but it was, they reported incidents which took place about 25 years ago. Mike Tyson was famous boxer. He was fighting this battle, a boxing match in Las Vegas against a very strong opponent. He is Holyfield. And at that point of time, Holyfield was actually, though Mike Tyson was a champion boxer, he was overpowering Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson probably thought he probably might lose this battle, might lose this boxing match. And what he did then, he bit off part of Holyfield's ear and spit it out. He did it in front of media. He did it in a live match, which was watch with, there were people around all over him. It was played in the stadium. It was live telecasted, recorded. Did it in broad daylight in front of everyone. An act for which he was very shameful later. He said, somebody within me compelled me to do that. I didn't do it, but someone inside me compelled me to do this kind of a thing. This is not what I have done always. I have lost matches in past, but I don't go and bit off various body parts of people from whom I lose. So this is not me. This is not I did. This is not what I did. This is someone else who got it done from me. Very very ghastly act. Nobody, people, we see matches, all kind of sports matches happen all around world, but we don't expect this kind of action to take place. So what is it that compelled him to do that, this kind of a very horrible action, which for which even he felt very apologetic, but what was done, and that was done in front of whole world. So for which he remained shameful. He had to apologize later. So there are risks to us from outside world. The outside world poses some risk to us. So if we are walking in a on a street at late evening or late night, alone, and you are carrying some money, carrying some gold jewelry, Matajis are walking, then they obviously have threat. They obviously have threat from outsiders. Somebody might attack them. Somebody might try to loot them. Somebody might try to steal things, which they possess, and so on and so forth. There could be terrorists, who could be planning a attack on a mall which we aim plan to visit in the evening. There could be so these are all external factors, external enemies that we may have. They can potentially come and harm us, and we are always on the watch for those people, that we want to protect ourselves from potential hurt, that people can offer us. People can hurt us, and we want to protect ourselves from all those things. However, it's the inner, but there are threats which comes from within also. Now these are obviously the threat which come from outside, and we in our own due right, take protection, want to protect ourselves from these outer threats. However, more than that, we suffer from threats which come from within. Now we hurt ourselves by our own self-destructive actions. The actions we take when we indulge into smoking or chewing tobacco. Every pack of that carry a warning to the user that tobacco consumption, alcohol, smoking can cause harm to your body. Tobacco, for example, can cause cancer. There will be pictures of people suffering from lung cancer on the other side of the cigarette packet. But what people still remember is how cool they look when they smoke, or how smoking is essential for them, for their survival and their progress in their material life, in performing their high pressure jobs, how cigarette is essential part of it. And then they, despite of having all the warnings, they indulge into smoking, they indulge into chewing tobacco, they indulge into taking alcohols, they indulge into taking drugs. Now these are not just smoking drugs, but these are the drugs which can give you kick for much longer time. And now and but and not only, you always start with a small dose which probably come free of cost from your friends, and eventually you're consumed by that habit, without which you cannot survive. You find yourself very difficult to survive. If your alcoholic is deprived of alcohol for long, he become mad. He can become mad. He can commit crime against those who are depriving him of that, consuming that alcohol or drug, or for that matter smoking tobacco, cigarettes. So they and those close people who are preventing them from these indulgence could be their close ones, could be their loved ones, could be their own family members, or could be very intimate friends who want them to come out of this habit of these addictions. But and then people get addicted in a way that they can destroy themselves eventually. They're self-destructing actions, and people dying of these is far greater than people dying out of threat coming from outside. People dying in terrorist attack, people, our neighbors attacking us and killing us, road rage to people coming out of cars and indulging into fight, and one person killing another person. Now all those things do happen, and there is threat, and we should take appropriate protection against the same. However, the inner demons killing people, those incidences or instances are far greater in quantity, in number, than the threat which is there on the outside. So we should be extremely now this is a serious topic. The latest threat which has emerged is during the pandemic is excessive use of internet, especially porn sites. Now that it could be the big that could be a big addiction for younger generation or any older generation for that matter. And again, there's people are struggling to deal with it. Now that all these people who are indulging in these actions are willingly getting into that direction. They probably would have gone in that direction initially. However, now most of them must be willing to stop these activities, but then they say that someone within them force them to do these activities. That's what specifically the question from Arjuna was, that who is it that is compelling me to act in such a way forcibly. We have another examples of a mouse being caught by a mice trap. You keep a cheese or a food article, and the mouse naturally gets attracted. Mouse is hungry at night. You keep it in some place, and then a mouse keep running, seeing or smelling the food article, and the moment it tried consume that food article, he gets trapped. Similarly, a fish is get tracked to a hook. Now, again, a similar trick is used. Some kind of a food articles are there, which is there to the hook, and the fish comes smelling that, seeing that, and then it doesn't know that it's a trap. And the moment it tried to consume that food article or that food, he gets entangled into the hook, and then he gets pulled out of water, and the game over. Now the mouse and the fish often get trapped, and for them this is they what is the explanation for them? Now they may say that they don't have enough intelligence to know that they are walking into a trap. In their current bodies, they may not have sufficient knowledge and intelligence to understand that these are traps, and therefore they should be watchful. And that is how, that could be one reason that they both can offer that we don't really know, we don't have capacity to know our present body in this animal or fish aquatic state does not provide us with that facility, that intelligence. Also, they may give another argument that what we came to have are our actually food articles. Now that is what we subsist on. These are the food items which we must eat for our survival. So what we were trying to do is a survival action. Now, because of some higher intelligence of humans, we got trapped and we get killed. Now, these are also actions. These are also actions leading to self-destruction. However, we can excuse those lower beings for for not having the sufficient intelligence. And but what about humans? When we just saw in the previous slide that humans also get themselves addicted in a self-destructive way, does cigarette or those drug powders or the alcohol looks like food articles? Are these are all necessary for their survivals? No, they food articles on which humans are supposed to subsist are the grains, milk, and so on and so forth. So these are not really the food articles, but people do get addicted in them by one means or the other means. So the question we have is today, do we really have demons inside us who are compelling us to act in such a self-destructive ways? What is the explanation for that? Now, a mouse and a fish, can justify, but how can we humans justify the actions which we do? Like, how can Mike Tyson justify? And Mike Tyson is one example. There is one Mike Tyson in all of us. Maybe we ourselves might have had acted in such a way for which, we felt sorry later, or we might have had gone ahead and apologized if we are honest enough, or we deep within ourselves, we would have felt bad that I should not have acted in that way. I should not have said such harsh words. The small crime, I gave them big punishment just because I was in the position of authority, or I could speak out whatever I could, and then I just took that opportunity and blasted my way out for a small kind of a error which I myself I must have committed with other people. So one Mike Tyson is hidden within all of us as well. We don't acted, we never acted it in that innocence way as well, and we can't really offer that innocent explanation. So who is there within us really is compelling us to act in that such a self-destructive way? So you can please raise hands and we can have a 5-minute discussion on this. Are there really demons within us who are pushing us to act in such a horrible way? So I don't see any other hand. So Vikas Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in response to this answer that Kamesha Krodesha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapa Vidhiyanam Varinam. That it is the anger and lust which actually provokes one to do the certain things, as you explained beautifully with so much of examples, that it is never under control of the oneself, under the mind is not under control of oneself. So the basic instinct that comes from the demonic instinct that come in individual oneself is because of the lust and anger, and these comes from the mode of passion, as Krishna explains in that particular verse, Prabhuji. So that is the basis of the demon arising in everyone who is not controlling the mind and who is not crossing the modes of material nature,
Okay.
or rather he is not in the mode of goodness.
Okay, thanks, Prabhuji. Sangeeta Mataji and then Swapnil Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Vikas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, how do we first of all identify the trap in case if there are any, and even if we identify, then in case if the trap is too powerful, how do we protect ourselves? Right.
Okay, thanks for the question. We'll come to that. Swapnil Prabhuji and Mukund Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I feel demons are all dormant in us. If particularly speaking about me, there are a lot of demons in me. I mean, lot of demons, modern time demons, and not what we talk about ancient time. These modern time demons, one we talk about is anger, fear. This anger and fear, this is the most vulnerable demons in us. So they will not only affect us, but they will affect the society also for fear and anger. So it just doesn't affect myself, but it affects others. And I'm trying to overcome. I'm saying that these demons should be dormant in me. I don't know whether they can be totally removed, because if at all it gets totally removed, probably I'll become a saint. But in modern time, I cannot become a saint or a sage. So I have to try and keep those demons dormant in me. So that is what I feel about demons within myself. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Oh, there was one more hand raised. Mukund Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yes. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So as you described, we know a lot of demons in us and outside also, but there is a very silent characteristic in us which keeps telling us that even though we know that these are bad, we feel that in today's world these are okay. So that is something, even if we understand the real truth or the great qualities which we should imbibe, somewhere we get stuck. And even though we identify the demons, we are not able to overcome them. That is another that characteristic in us which keeps telling that in today's world these are the normal things. So
we create a
some guidance to
justification
improve.
for those actions. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, that's a nice point. Aishwarya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I think in my case, I feel so much anxious, even though I'm just 19, but I overthink a lot and I just pre-assume things. And the more dormant demon in me is being every time confused. Like I'm so much confused 24 into 7. And I don't know, even after knowing that how to overcome, like chanting nicely, something is in me that is pulling me away from these things.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Sainath here.
Sainath Dandavat
Acha,
Pranam.
I have got only one example that was we have come across about Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj, Bhakta Prahlad and Hiranyakashyap. He was Hiranyakashyap's son, and he was so dedicated to the Supreme Lord that he appeared from the pillar and killed his father. So this example, with this example, I can conclude that even demon's son also can, if he is devoted, he can overcome all the demoniac tendencies. So that much only I wanted to.
Yeah, great point. So these demoniac tendencies are not static. That they are there, so they will be there forever. So
Yeah, even
they can
a
be altered, they can
asuras,
be changed.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Even it is
So
not hereditary or
with the right
something like that.
association, like Narad
Right.
Muni,
Yeah.
he got association of Narad Muni and learned from Narad Muni, and then he was delivered. Yes, you're right. That's a very nice point made. So that we will again check towards the end of the session. We'll cover that aspect. Thank you so much for bringing it up, Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, like in my case, sometimes I become very impatient, due to which it leads to a lot of overthinking. Maybe some situations at office, like the person who is not deserving, so that person is getting everything and the other person is not getting it. So that constantly keeps on flashing in my mind. So sometimes it may lead to some negative or demoniac activities. So that is what I feel in myself, what it happens sometimes.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for saying that. Yes, and it happens with I think most of the people will agree. They're not saying, but I'm sure they must be nodding their heads. हाँ हाँ हमारे साथ भी होता है. But that's very common. So thank you so much everyone for your contribution, and we'll take this discussion a little further. We'll see what Shastra says. So demons inside us are not any ghastly, horrible looking beings out there with horns out there to destroy us. We say that so houses are haunted and people are possessed. There's some external being who try to possess our body and get horrible things done using this body. Now that possibility exists, but in most of our cases, that is not what we are discussing now. So then from where who these demons are and how do we deal with them? So these demons are demoniac mentality which force or compel us to act in horrible self-destructing ways. A few names of them are the six anarthas, the famous six anarthas, and there are many, as many of you highlighted later, that the lust is the leader. Prabhuji also, many of you said that, Vikas Prabhu also mentioned, lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion. Now these are captains, and out of that, lust, anger, greed are called as our highway to hell or the doors to the hell. So that comes in a verse later in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, from where we will see a couple of few verses today. So Bollywood.com versus BhagavadGita.com. Now, how do we understand this? How we will try to understand how these demoniac tendencies get formed inside our mind, and where do they reside? They reside in our mind, but how do they get formed? And we will use an example of computer. All of us are using computer or mobiles, and we open different websites. Suppose in our computer, we have always opened Bollywood.com often, many times, every week, every Friday, to find out whatever new songs are released, new movies getting released, who is having affair with whom, or whatever. All that comes in that Bollywood.com. We were very inclined to know that, so that we can discuss it with our friends, or we can generally show our expert knowledge of Bollywood. We can we could be in the profession of giving commentaries on those news articles or whatever. We could be a journalist, whatever our need is, but we often open this particular website, Bollywood.com. Recently, we attended this Secrets of Success seminar based on Bhagavad Gita. 2-day seminar we underwent and learned a lot of things about Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita say this, Bhagavad Gita say we are not this body, we are soul. Bhagavad Gita explains the law of karma and then and so on and so forth. Whatever I heard in 2 days, I become very impressed. And come home, I open my laptop and I type B. Now, somewhere in the computer, whenever I have typed Bollywood.com, starting with B, computer has stored my strokes. And starting with B, the moment whenever I have typed any website from B, I have opened Bollywood.com. So whenever I type B, computers like a nice servant, brings in front of me Bollywood.com, auto completes Bollywood.com for me the moment I type B. Now, the computer doesn't know that I went and attended Secrets of Success course in ISKCON, and now I want to open Bhagavad Gita because I never took my computer with me. But I know. Now, the moment I type B, it auto completes for Bollywood.com. That name appears in front of me. Now, this is a proposition which has come from computer. Now, this proposal has come from computer. Now, the proposal has come without my intention. My intention was to open bhagavadgita.com, but computer has proposed me Bollywood.com. What options I have now? Very quickly, somebody who has not spoken can speak, can just unmute and speak. So I'm sitting in my front of my computer. The question is, I want to open bhagavadgita.com and I just type B and computer has auto completed B. By B they mean Bollywood.com. So it has brought in front of me the Bollywood.com that came by as autocomplete. Now what options do I have? Quickly, someone.
Prabhuji, can I say something here?
Yes, Prabhuji. Nobody else wants to speak, so please speak.
Prabhuji, I believe it's a trigger point to awaken our demon inside or our goodness inside. So if
No, it's a simple question that I want to open bhagavadgita.com. I have always opened Bollywood.com. So the moment I type B, Bollywood.com came in front of me. Now my intention is to go to bhagavadgita.com, but Bollywood computer has completed through autocomplete code the Bollywood.com for me. What two choices I have? Very simple.
After taking all the sessions and this, I will close Bollywood. I mean, that is what I will do right now. But most of the people before this, I would have attracted towards visiting Bollywood.com.
Chandramohan Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, the best thing is that close it and open Bhagavad Gita if we really want to read Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, so the action for me is that though the autocomplete has brought in front of me Bollywood.com, I have capacity to close it. I have capacity to delete, use backspace button to go up to the point of B, and from B doesn't have to necessarily start as Bollywood. I can start BHAGA and then complete bhagavadgita.com. So this requires effort. This requires some willpower and effort, both, correct? So this is where this is what is the crux of the whole problem. What we have been doing is we have been performing certain actions. When we perform certain actions, inner impressions get created in our mind. Inside our mind, all our actions leads to impressions, whether we know or we don't know. But everything gets recorded in the core of our mind, the area of our mind. So actions lead to impressions. Now those impressions are not that the mind is capturing every picture of whatever we are desiring and whatever we are doing. Based on that, mind determines that certain things are liked by me. Mind wants to be our good servant. They want to attract our mercy. So whenever a mind see we going in a particular direction, it brings up those propositions, and those inner impressions create propositions from the mind. The mind proposes, then they see similar events happening. They start sending those propositions to us. Every time we have gone ahead or gone to a particular shop, a particular restaurant, and then we have had a particular meal there, which is our favorite restaurant in the town. So every time we pass by, could be ice cream parlor or whatever, every time we pass by that shop, we stop and we have some ice cream there. Now every time it has happened. Now suppose you are going for a very important meeting or a interview, job interview, or some very, very important kind of a event. Now that road happened to take you through the same road where that shop located. Now seeing us going through the same route, mind will start giving you propositions that stop and have ice cream, stop and have ice cream. Why? Because we have always done that in past. Now those propositions are coming from mind, and we have ability to either accept it or reject it. If our meeting is very urgent, we may reject that proposition and we may continue on the road to which leads to ultimately the destination where our meeting is. However, if we are on a casual drive with friends and that we happen to take the same road, then that proposition will be overpowering us. That proposition will be so strong that it will force us to stop. No matter some other people may not be interested in eating ice cream, but we may stop and then we may force everybody to have ice cream, because that inner proposition coming from the mind becomes so strong that we are unable to refute it. Now this, if we repeatedly accept propositions coming from mind, the impressions and propositions become stronger, they gain strength, and that can lead to addiction. Now these steps can be applied to a cigarette, a glass of wine, or a drug, or a simple example can be ice cream or a dosa or whatever that we are attached to, we like something. So by a repeated indulgence, the inner impressions and mental propositions become so strong that one feels that they are impossible to resist, irresistible, just can't say no. It all comes from within. I'm saying no, I'm saying no, I'm saying no, but it overpower me, and it force me to indulge into that action. Now this is what is happening inside me. So the so we will discuss few verses with reference to this background. We'll discuss few verses from 16th chapter. 16th chapter is named as divine and demoniac natures. Divine and demoniac natures of people, of course, of population in general. So we had seen this 15th chapter, which explains the upside down tree, urdhva moolam adha shakham ashwatham prahura avyayam, and so on and so forth. So we discussed some of those things, and the modes of material nature nourishes both the upper and the the auspicious divine branches, and the lower and the demoniac branches. Both branches are nourished by the three modes of material nature. As if we pour water to the roots, similarly that nourishment comes from those indulging in those activities under the influence of modes of material nature. In the In the first section of this 16th chapter, Krishna is going to explain the demoniac and divine qualities of people, divine and demoniac qualities of people. Later sections, Krishna will explain the demoniac nature. And further later section in the same chapter 19 to 24, Krishna will further explains the result of those demoniac activities and choice of elevation or degradation that is there with the possessor, that is there with the soul. Now, the 3 verses, the chapter totally has about 24 verses. The first 3 verses talk about divine nature, and the rest 21 verses explains the demoniac nature. Why so? Because Krishna is speaking this Bhagavad Gita, knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, he's giving at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, where the demoniac nature will be on the rise, and hence the need to understand this is greater than ever in the history. So in the first Prabhupada has first 3 verses gives the divine nature, qualities of divine nature, and Prabhupada has grouped these 3 verses together and given the explanation. And we come to the inner demons in a slightly later, but what we'll do is we'll quickly go through these 26 qualities which Krishna has described, which are applicable to the divine nature, which are called as divine nature. And we have grouped them in a table so that we all can take a look at it in a very simple way. The first is fearlessness. How Prabhupada has presented this is, so he's basically, so there are qualities, 26 different qualities are mentioned. As you can read, fearlessness is first quality, purification of one's existence is another one, cultivation of knowledge, and so on and so forth. So Prabhupada has identified each quality with a particular ashram, varna ashram. So varna ashram, there are 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. 4 varnas are there is a brahmachari, there is a ashramas are brahmacharya, grahastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and sannyasa ashram. And the 4 varnas are brahmachari, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And sannyasis are above Brahmanas. Brahman is supposed to be the spiritual master for Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and sannyasi is supposed are the topmost Brahmanas, who are supposed to be even the spiritual master for the whole society, but especially the Brahmanas. Brahmanas take knowledge from sannyasis and then they give knowledge to the 3 varnas, and sannyasis are natural leaders, spiritual leaders for the entire society. So the sannyasis are extremely important in the in the social order. So these each of these quality is identified with one or the wherever it is predominant, that varnashram is mentioned. And in the comment section we've explained, Prabhupada explains in detail in the purport. It's a long purport, all of you are requested to read this, but in a very beautiful way Prabhupada explains each of these quality, what it means really, and why it is important, considered to be a divine quality. So fearlessness is associated with sannyasa. So Prabhupada writes very beautifully in the purport that sannyasis are meant to be fearless. The fearlessness comes from not from the absence of fearful situations, but the presence of a protector. Knowledge about presence of a protector and the fearlessness comes from them. A sannyasi who is accepted properly the order of sannyas knows that even if I live in the darkest region of a forest, I shall be protected by Krishna. So Krishna is always with me. I'm never alone in the first place. Krishna is always with me in my heart, and he will protect me no matter where I go and what happens with me. So he's completely dependent on Krishna for everything. He does not carry wealth and does not carry associate with women, strict brahmacharya and strict disassociation with wealth. He's completely dependent on Krishna for everything, for his subsistence, for his travel, for his for his even for the duty of his ashrama is to preach to the grahasthas, to all other ashramas. For that also he is completely dependent on Krishna. So if anyone who does not have that assurance that Krishna will protect in every situation, no matter how bad the situation is, he is completely dependent on Krishna. Unless one has that confidence on Krishna, one should not become sannyasi. Prabhupada writes very clearly that unless if you're not in that, if you don't have that level of confidence, one should not accept sannyasa ashram. So abhaya or abhayam is the first quality that Krishna described, is applicable to for sannyasis. That kind of state of mind is required if one is desirous of accepting sannyasa order. So dependence on Supreme Lord's mercy, fully convinced that Paramatma will give all protection for everything, from everything. If you need food, if you need shelter, if you need clothing, if you need to travel, if you need to preach, whatever, if you have external threats, or you're standing in front of a tiger, or you've been bitten by a snake, whatever be your condition is, you are fully dependent on Krishna. And if you're unable to attain that state, you should not accept sannyasa order. So sannyasa order is considered to be a very, very rare thing. It's not cheap thing, and it's not just change of clothing from white to saffron. It's a very difficult state of mind, that state of heart of one's being, and that's very difficult to achieve. Next one is purification of one's senses. Now this sannyasi, this is again applicable to all ashramas and all varnas, but again more more predominantly applicable for sannyasis, that they should be, because once having accepted the order of sannyas, one should purify, one should live to purify yourself, and purification comes from following of rules and regulation. And again, this is very strict for sannyasas. Cultivation of knowledge, again sannyasis, if this is applicable in general to everybody, but predominantly it should be applied to sannyasis. They must cultivate first and then distribute knowledge, especially to the householders. So sannyasis go begging from door to door, not because they want to, that way they want to cultivate a giving mentality amongst grahasthas, and also they get connected with grahasthas by way of which we can give them ultimate knowledge that what is the purpose of human birth. Purpose of human birth is not to build home and live with family and hoping that they will live there forever. Purpose of human birth is to prepare for your ultimate final examination, which will come in form of death. And at that time, if you can remember Krishna, then you will have opportunity to go back to Krishna. And grahasthas often forget this. Today's world, everybody has forgotten it, but especially in the grahastha life, one is so much intensely involved in activities of maintenance and taking care of the family, the wife, the children, the parents and the friends and relatives, and so much, one gets so much entangled. It's like a never-ending entanglement, practically. And so you need those we need those booster doses coming through those our contact with sannyasis, whose full-time job is to cultivate Krishna's remembrance and to help others also do the same. So yesterday's class was classic example of how pure brahmachari who has been serving Radha Ras Bihari Ji for more than 15 years, Ramrup Prabhuji, how he can captivate attention of so many people. There's so many people on the Zoom, so many people in the room. People forgot time, and then they would just remember that this is what the real thing is. While we can take care of our families, that's our duty as well, but paying attention to family doesn't mean not paying attention. It should not come at a cost of not paying attention to our spiritual life. And sannyasis help devotees, pure devotees of Lord, help us do that. Give us that remembrance first, and then help us cultivate Krishna consciousness within us through various processes of devotional service, especially to householders, Prabhupada, right? Because it's required. It's very easy for a householder to get carried away. thinking that taking care of his old parents is his only duty at the cost of not doing any devotional activity, not continue to strengthen his own connection with Krishna, and helping his parents also develop their connection with Krishna, nourish their connection with Krishna. Everybody fly their own plane. We can't appear for other people's examination. We have to give our own exam, and we have to prepare others who are our loved ones to give their exams, so that hope that we all will pass. And that's the beauty of the process of Krishna consciousness. That's the beauty of this society of Krishna consciousness. ISKCON is a society, and that's what the whole society is cultivating, this single objective. Help that you yourself remember Krishna, and you help others remember Krishna. Fourth one is a charity. It is associated predominantly with grahasthas. Grahasthas are sannyasis are not engaged in collecting wealth, so they are 24/7 they are associated. Their only job is to cultivate knowledge, cultivate purification, follow rules and regulations, cultivate knowledge, and give knowledge. But grahasthas are engaged in acting revenue generating activities, and they are supposed to maintain both the sannyasis as well as the brahmacharis. All the three ashramas, vanaprasthi, sannyasi, and below them are brahmachari, all are maintained by the grahastha community. And for that charity they are expected to give. How much? Prabhupada writes 50% ideal. 50% is ideal. That 50% of our whatever net income is, we should give charity in some form or the other. And giving in the mode of goodness is or beyond, or in the mode of devotion, that is recommended. Again, charity is not a is an activity, is an activity, but is also a mentality. People may postpone charity thinking that tomorrow I will become very rich and I will give very big donation, but it's a activity, it's a mentality also, and mentality comes from activity. Once you constantly indulge in giving small charities when your capacity to pay is less, that is okay, because that will help us cultivate this consciousness that I have to give also, give back to the society. And Prabhupada writes best charity is for the propagating Krishna consciousness, because that is going to, that's where the money will be used to propagate Krishna consciousness. Money will be used to print and distribute books about Krishna consciousness. Money will be used to build and maintain temples where people can come and take darshan of Lord and hear about Lord's pastime and develop their attraction towards Lord. These are the activities where our charity can be best utilized. So Prabhupada writes that it should be given for propagating Krishna consciousness. Fifth is self-control. Everybody, it is important, especially Prabhupada writes grahasthas, especially in a dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharata varshabha. So Krishna says that the grahasthas don't have license to have sex. The sex is part of the social order, and is required for begetting children. But apart from that, even grahasthas should not indulge into this unnecessary sexual activities. So that's where the self-control becomes important for grahasthashram. What to speak of having sexual relationships outside marriage, or so that's absolutely sinful, and that should never be done. But even within marriage, Prabhupada writes very clearly that sexual activity should only be indulged into for the purpose of begetting Krishna conscious children. And then he says that if you can and if you want to, you can have hundreds of children which are Krishna conscious children. But if you don't want to have children, then you should not indulge in yourself into the sexual activities as well, even within the framework of marriage also. Sacrifice, it's applicable to all, but especially grahasthas. Sacrifice has Sanskrit name yajna. Self-control is dhamma. sacrifice yajna should be performed by grahasthas. Yajna require a lot of resources, and grahasthas are in possession of material resources. They are earning money, so they are expected to perform all sacrifices where they can engage all ashramas. They can invite sannyasis, they can invite vanaprasthis, and they can invite brahmacharis for performance of those sacrifices, and that way the social order is maintained. Vedic study, adhyatma, the Sanskrit word for Vedic study is swadhyaya, very beautiful word. And again, it's meant specifically for brahmacharis. Brahmacharis are typically the earlier times, from the age of 8, boy would go to the Gurukul, and he would study. And he would study till the age of 20, 21, 22. And then when he will come back, he will get into grahasthashram. And so that used to be the order. So brahmachari life, which starts at the age of 8 and goes on till the age of, say, 20, 25, is meant for study, meant for swadhyay. And while we are studying, we should maintain celibacy. No indulgence in sexual thinking, sexual activities of any kind. The student life, this is the requirement for student life, engaging mind in the study of Vedic literature only. And that this is how the society, the children in the society should be trained, and then they become responsible grahasthas. Otherwise they become irresponsible, just like animals, and then they perform all kind of sinful actions which comes to the surface from news from time to time in today's time. Austerities, especially meant for vanaprasthas, as the social order was like 25 years of brahmacharya, 25 years of marriage, next 25 years of vanaprastha, and final 25 years one should act like a sannyasi. The vanaprasthis, so 51 to say 75 years of age, they're not meant to remain too much involved in the material activities. From 50 onwards, they should retire. They should hand over charge to the other younger generations, and they should look forward to the retirement. Retirement in today's time, it's not possible to go to jungles. There are not many jungles left, and but Prabhupada advised that people should devote their time more for devotional service, more in the activities of propagating Krishna consciousness, more and so that it helps them, and they should reduce their needs, day-to-day needs also. So the austerities are meant for vanaprasthis. It's meant for everybody, but especially for vanaprasthis. And because by performing austerities, one will always remember that life is not meant for enjoyment. Life is ultimately meant for liberation. We are here to stay happily in this world, but not that happily forever. The world is temporary. Our presence in this world is also temporary. So we have a goal to achieve. We have to become qualified for liberation. So we need to perform activities which can help us become qualified for liberation. So live happily and attain liberation. Both are important, not just one. And for attaining liberation, we need to start performing austerity, the more activities of austerity, and reducing our needs to a substantial extent, so that we can focus more and more attention on the devotional activities. Devotional activities can simply be hearing, chanting, and serving Krishna, remembering Krishna, and serving devotees, and serving the mission of Lord. Simplicity is simple and straightforward, is truthful. It's applicable to all. Non-violence is applicable to all. Non-violence, Prabhupada nicely described. Ahimsa means arresting the progressive life of living entities. That one should not think that spirit spark is never killed, even after the killing the body. And there is no harm in killing the body of the animals for the sense gratification. No, that's himsa. That's not expected. People, those animals will die their own death, but you don't have to kill them just so that you can fulfill the desires of your tongue, sense gratification. So And another way, another time Prabhupada says that real himsa is not letting living entity, not giving living entity the spiritual knowledge by way of which they can develop some attraction towards Krishna and indulge or perform devotional activities and try for liberation. If you are not doing this, you are being violent with everyone else. Those souls. This is like killing the soul. And then that is again Prabhupada says this is violence. 11th is truthfulness. Satyam means not to distort the truth for some personal interest, especially Vedic instructions should not be distorted. And Prabhupada stresses in the initial part of Bhagavad Gita, the preface, that his only goal was to present knowledge in an adulterated way, without any adulteration. He does not want to bring in his own personal interests, and that's what he said that was done by many other commentators, expert scholarly commentators of Bhagavad Gita. They brought in their personal view and then they distorted the true message of Bhagavad Gita, which was given by Krishna to Arjuna and which Arjuna heard. And then he said that nashto moha smrtir labdha tvat prasadam maya achyuta sitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava, he said. And so for that, to that understanding that Arjuna got by hearing message in a particular way, by distorting that message itself, people are not coming to the same conclusion, and that's how the whole society got misguided. Even though after studying Bhagavad Gita, people were misguided because they never found the true meaning of Bhagavad Gita, which could enable them to say karishye vachanam tava, I will do whatever you will tell me to do, O Krishna. So truthfulness is important. Freedom from anger, again applicable to all. Even if there is a provocation, one should tolerate knowing the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to attain liberation. Ultimate goal for us is not to prove the world how superior we are, how strong we are, how influential we are, how rich we are. If we are having these goals, then we will get involved in activities of proving one another right or wrong. And whenever we are proved wrong, we will be angry. Our self ego will make us angry, our desires will make us angry. And so a person whose goal is to get out of this world, goal is to cultivate constant remembrance of Krishna. For him, small incidences of provocation will not matter. He will not pay too much attention to those, and therefore he will not get angry. Not that he does not have anger, but he's using it properly, and because he does not want his anger to interfere with his ultimate goal. Ultimate goal is to attain Krishna, to get out of this world, to go to Krishna. Next is the renunciation. It's again applicable to all. Using renunciation, Prabhupada beautifully described. Renunciation means using things properly in Krishna's service. So if we may have the riches of this entire world, and but if we keep using those for serving Krishna, Yudhishthir Maharaj is an example, Ambarish Maharaj is another example, then if we, despite of having everything, is as good as having nothing. It is as good as having nothing, and that is Yukta Vairagya. You are engaging everything in Krishna's service, and when that is done, even if you possess the whole world, you are the richest person in the world, you are equally renounced to this to those riches. You are not attached to those riches. So this is the renunciation. Tranquility, unaffected by disturbing emotions, peaceful and equipoise. Again, this is a quality that can be cultivated, that can manifest if we properly follow the devotional principle. Now all these qualities are manifested in devotees automatically. You don't have to work. There are 26 qualities. You don't have to work on this quality chart saying that I'll target first 4 in the first 6 months, then I'll take other ones. No, just do basic devotional service and all these qualities and more will automatically get manifested in you. And that's the beauty of this devotional process that Prabhupada has given us, that Krishna has given to Arjuna and Prabhupada has given it to us, made it available to us. Aversion to fault finding. We are expert fault finders in other people. We know who all have done wrong with us, whatever activities people are doing, how they could have been done better. We find fault in almost everything. But Krishna says that's not a great quality. That does not make you a good divine person, a devotee. So as a devotee, you should have aversion to fault finding. Prabhupada writes nicely, to call a thief is okay, but unnecessary fault finding one should avoid. So if it is your duty, it's at your situation is you should call thief a thief. That's all right. Don't have to, that's not you're finding fault in that person, but you're giving that person an opportunity to overcome those stealing mentalities, which is making him a thief. So that's okay, but aversion to unnecessary fault finding is a problem. Compassion for all living entities, giving spiritual knowledge. Now, if we have something, we find people struggling, we should be ready and willing to share whatever we possess, spiritual knowledge. If they are hungry, obviously we can give them knowledge by way of which they can earn living, but after that you should give them spiritual knowledge also, that or after having earned the living, you fill your belly, now at least listen to the spiritual knowledge and develop that attraction for Krishna, and so that you can ultimately get out of this world. Freedom from courteous covetousness. Covetousness means greedy, charity and renunciation, the greedy mentality. Then 18th is gentleness, friendly to all living entities, being friendly to all living entities. Devotees are friendly to all living entities. 19th, modesty, applicable to all, does not perform abominable actions. Devotees don't perform abominable actions. So Durena yav avaram karma. Buddhi yoga dhananjaya. They use their intelligence and make sure that if you perform devotional service nicely, the hearing and chanting nicely, all of this will automatically come. You don't have to really try hard for any of these. Steady determination, utsaha nishchaya dhairya, tattat karma pravartanat. Yesterday also we saw that determination, drudhavrata, satata kirtayanto mam yatantascho drudhavrata. So this devotees have drudhavrata because they don't get overnight success. They start chanting one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra and doesn't become all illuminative themselves. They take their success comes gradually, and in success also they remain humble. They never consider themselves as successful, so they are never agitated, never frustrated in his effort, regardless of failures. Sometimes they will fail also. Prabhupada failed so many occasions, but Prabhupada was all relentlessly trying to serve Krishna in every situation. So he never got frustrated. His efforts were defeated, but he was not defeated. In every situation, he would think how best he can serve Krishna, what he can do for Krishna's pleasure. Vigor, Kshatriyas, ability to give protection to to all sections of society. That's a job of a Kshatriya. Forgiveness, everybody it should be applicable, but especially Kshatriyas, because Kshatriya can forgive minor offenses. Don't have to kill everybody for offense just because you have authority. Fortitude, everybody it's applicable, especially to Kshatriyas, mental and emotional strength when facing difficult situation. Now Kshatriyas can go through difficult situations, and they need to maintain that, they need to have strength, mental and emotional strength, for while facing those situations. One example can be shooting arrows on Drona and Bhishma. You need that mental and emotional state, strength in order to do that. Cleanliness, all, especially Vaishyas, internal mind and heart, external body and dealing with others. No black market or underhand dealings. 25th, freedom from envy, applicable to all. No resentment, no resentful of others, not resentful of others. That's freedom from envy, no envy. Then freedom from passion of honor, especially Shudras should say amanitva, that is the passion for honor, being honored. I should be honored, I should be respected, I should be recognized. Now that passion should not be there. One should expect one should not accept respect from others, but one should accept if it is offered by people on their own. One should accept it, but one should not expect it. In the fourth verse, Krishna described the qualities pertaining to demoniac nature. The divine nature is over. That's all. That's all what he had to offer for divine nature. But now this is where all of us might find everything relevant, or when previous 26 qualities, many of those opposite were true for us. Now we will see those here. Dambho, Darpo, Abhimanascha, Krodha, Parushyameva cha, Ajnanam Abhichatasya, Partha Sampada Asuram, Sampadam Asurim. Now Sampada means possessions, possession or riches or wealth. This Sampada means though that one possesses and very proudly possesses. If you have a lot of wealth, you will feel very proud of that. If you have a lot of land, well, you will feel very proud. You will take people, relatives who come to visit you to a round. देखो हमारा कितना बड़ा खेती है, ये यहाँ से वहां तक, पूरा अपना ही है. And we feel very proud that this is our possession. And we feel very proud of it. Similarly, these qualities are possessed by people of demoniac nature, and they consider these qualities to be their possessions, proud possessions, as if these are their riches. This is something that they find it is worth showcasing. And so these are the qualities of a demoniac nature: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Partha. Prabhupada described in the purport, in this verse, the royal road to hell is described. The demoniac wants to make a show of religion and advancement in spiritual science, although they do not follow the principles. They are always arrogant, or proud in possessing some type of education or such much wealth. They desire to be worshipped by others and demand respectability, although they do not command respect. So demanding respect versus commanding respect. Over trifles, they become very angry and speak harshly, not gently. Yesterday we heard the Suruchi spoke very harsh words, and Dhruva Maharaj was hurt like anything by those words, and then he developed that revenge mentality for her, and that's how he left home. So harsh words can do much more harm than what we can imagine. So we should be extremely careful with what we speak, how we speak, the tone in which we speak, the choice of words that we use, and so on and so forth. So Prabhupada continue in the purport, they do not know what should be done and what should not be done. Now these people are demoniac nature, Prabhupada are describing. They do everything whimsically, according to their own desires, and they do not recognize any authority. मैं मेरे मन से पूजा करता हूँ, मैं decide करता हूँ मुझे किसको पूजना है. I am deciding this is dharma. I am deciding ऐसे ही पूजा मेरे भगवान को पसंद है. Now whatever we speak after I, me, myself is coming under this category. We have to follow instruction. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranita. Whatever is spoken by Krishna is dharma. And everything else is a dharma. So I cannot manufacture my own religion. I cannot manufacture my own rituals. I cannot keep fast on any day and think that it will give me punya of Ekadashi Vrata, or so on and so forth. So these demonic qualities are taken on by them from the beginning of their bodies in the wombs of their mothers, and as they grow, they manifest all their inauspicious qualities. The transcendental qualities are conducive to the liberation, whereas demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with divine qualities. That's in the 1655. So we'll go back to our theory of demons. So we have this situation, a picture, image of a person using computer. So there is a hardware, there is a software that we see on the screen is demonstrated. So there's a hardware, there's a computer screen, there's a typewriter, there's a mouse, and there is a hardware, there's a software, and there's a user. user, we can compare this roughly with software with the mind, hardware with our human body, and user means soul. Now go back to our example of Bollywood.com versus BhagavadGita.com. We understand that action leads to inner impressions, leads to proposition from mind, and repetition of action. We accept those propositions many times, the proposition becomes stronger, which becomes addiction. Now these preferences are stored in a particular computer. Now when we are, suppose this user is working on this particular machine, and every time in history he has used this machine for accessing Bollywood.com. Now he has come back from the Secret of Success class and wants to open BhagavadGita.com. Now we can say that these preferences, his preferences for when he type B, this machine understand he wants to open Bollywood.com. Therefore, this machine completes Bollywood.com for him the moment he types B. Now we will expand this example a little bit further. Now everybody has Gmail account. Most of us have Gmail account, and moment we log into the Google, most of the time we see we are logged in with their account. Now when we log in with our account and then we do some searches, all our such searches are stored by Google. Not only the computer knows it, now Google also knows it, what we are searching. So if we have searched always in history Bollywood.com, not only this computer knows that we are searching for Bollywood.com, but Google also knows that we are searching for Bollywood.com. Now, for example, today this machine gets becomes faulty and we purchase a new machine, or we go to somebody else's house and log in using their machine. Now it's a new machine, okay, and that user may have never used Bollywood.com. Now when I type on this machine, here's a question that will come, so please pay attention. So when I type in that machine normally B, the Bollywood.com does not come up. But when I log in into Google account of mine, and then what if the difference between before Google account and with Google account is that when I log in with my Google account, all my historical preferences comes up, they manifest. So before logging into Google account on this new machine, if I type B, nothing pops up. There's no pop-up which comes. But when I log into my Google account and with that, when I type B, it again shows Bollywood.com. Now, what it does is, what it indicates is that the preferences of me, wherever I'm accessing Bollywood.com, are stored on a computer which I'm equating with a human body. But I'm saying that they are also stored in the software, which is Google, which is with Google. So when I change my machine from one machine to another machine, and I log into that machine using my Google account, all my previous preferences manifest. What can this indicate to us? What does it tell us? Something more than what we have not spoken. What does additionally tell us? That when we go to another machine, but when we log in with the Google account, all our historical preferences manifest. Chandraman Proji, sorry, I could not let you speak other time, but please speak, and then Shankaranand Proji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, my idea is that this body is not permanent. It will keep on taking rebirth, etc. So if I have my account where my preferences are stored, wherever I'm born, wherever I'm there, I continue again from whatever Sukruti I have done in this life or whatever. So this Gmail account is kind of my connection of my soul. So I do whatever I could do, but because these have been my preferences, I will be given a preference to choose these or in a much better way wherever I go.
Okay. That's a good, a very nice attempt. Shankaranand Prabhuji, you raised hand.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Yes, Prabhuji.
प्रभु जी, ये जीमेल अकाउंट का मतलब ये है, ये बोलने का मतलब ये है कि प्रभु जी जैसे कि ये जीमेल अकाउंट है हमारे पास, तो ये नई मशीन में हम लोग लॉगिन करने के पहले वो मशीन में मतलब bollywood.com नहीं आता, लॉगिन करने के बाद सब कुछ आता है। तो सेम एज इट इज, जैसे ये बॉडी में हम लोग जो भी हम लोग एक्शंस करते हैं वो हमारे स्टोर रहते हैं। जब ये बॉडी मतलब हम लोग ये बॉडी छोड़ के नेक्स्ट बॉडी में जाते हैं, हमारी सोल को ये बॉडी छोड़ती है और नेक्स्ट बॉडी जाती है, तो सेम एज इट इज जो हम लोग इस बॉडी में जितने भी हिस्ट्रीज एंड जितने भी एक्शंस किए हैं वो नेक्स्ट बॉडी में अपने आप मतलब जाती है, उसका जो भी हिस्ट्री है।
ये सही है, बट कैसे जाती है? सॉफ्टवेयर कौन सा है? Yes, Vikas.
प्रभु जी,
हाँ,
सॉफ्टवेयर
हरे
प्रभु
कृष्णा।
जी सोल यूजिंग सोल।
Okay. Nupur Mataji, yes.
Prabhuji, our subtle body is the transferer of the information, mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Haribol. Yes, that's the answer. Vikas Prabhuji, you want to say something more? Okay, so yeah, that's correct. It's the mind. Mind act as the transfer agent. Our mind is with us for millions of lifetime in past, and it will remain until we liberate and go out of this material existence to the spiritual world. That time we will deposit this mind back in this in this material world. Mind is material, mind belongs to this material world, but mind is that software where all these preferences are stored. And when we leave one body and go to another body, as rightly indicated by Chandramohan Prabhuji also and Shankaranand Prabhuji also, we carry, the soul goes with the subtle mind. Just like just like yesterday Prabhuji also explained, we also studied it in few days back, that just like air picks up aroma from the flower and doesn't touch the flower, nobody can see how air is picking up aroma from a flower, and flower remain as it is, but the aromas goes away. The air takes the aroma and takes it to a new user. It can go and take the aroma and take it to a new person. Similarly, soul leaves body covered by the mind, intelligence, and false ego. And when that get installed into new machine, into new physical body, it remanifests everything. That's why some children are angry, show a lot of anger. All children cry, but when some children cry, they bring the whole house down, as if everybody leaves whatever they are doing and come to pacify those children. And this could be seen in even amongst twins. That one twin is one child is very peaceful, calm, and other is extremely agitated right from the early age. Now that's possible, and this is possible because the software where these impressions are stored. So these impressions are stored in two places. One is the brain, that's the hardware part of it, and the mind, which is the software part of it. Soul is the user. So soul and the user and carries this software with him from one body to another. And when that software gets installed in the new body properly and start functioning, means the child gets to a stage where he can start expressing emotions, maybe at the age of 1, 2, whatever. All these histories of indulgences that remanifest. And now again, if you type B, it will show you bollywood.com. And whatever anarthas that we cultivated carefully over past, they all remanifest in front of us. And then we have to start dealing with them the way we dealt with them, where we left off in the previous life. We start from there. So the divine and demonic nature, in the 6th verse, we'll see the translation and the purport extract. Krishna says that, O son of Pratha, in this world, there are two kinds of people. One is called divine and the other is demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me the qualities of the demoniac nature. So now from here onwards, again, the description of demoniac people will begin, what activities they perform, what is the result of their activity, and so on and so forth, which we will study in the future classes. In the purport, Prabhupada mentions that one should perform duties in the light of authoritative scriptures. This mentality is called divine. And doing activities as per our whims and fancy is obviously demoniac. So one should not follow the regulatory principle as they are laid out in the scripture, and one who act according to his whims is called demoniac or asuric person. This is another criteria, but obedience to the regulatory principle of there is no other criteria but the obedience to the regulatory principles of the scripture. So one who accepts scripture, in short, are the people, or ones who accept scriptures and one who is prepared to act according to the instructions given by scriptures are people of divine nature, and everybody else is of demoniac nature. So whatever activities we do, therefore, it's very important to understand what scriptures tell. What are the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, and all those scriptural instructions are summarizedly presented in Bhagavad Gita. That's why Bhagavad Gita is known as the manual for life, and we should study this from the age of 5 if possible, as early as possible, so that we live life according to those instructions and don't waste time in cultivating doing actions according to our whims and fancies, and then create anarthas and then deal with those in later stage of our life. So demons, again, we'll just to come back, conclude on this demons point, that demons are internal impressions, urges, drives, mental propositions that overpower us. Now there's a battle which happens. All the Krishna says in the in the later verses also, that Nitya Verini, that she's as if, because it was spoken in the battlefield and Arjuna is a Kshatriya, so all those metaphors which are used, the words which are used are of this nature, that she said it's an eternal enemy. And when you have to defeat that enemy. So mind, again, in the 6th chapter, Krishna used the word jitam. Anybody who has conquered the mind. Now conquering is the conquering that happens in the battlefield. So so this terminology is predominantly used by Krishna in various places in Bhagavad Gita. So the initial level, we can deal with them by our willpower. But once they become stronger by repeated indulgence, only willpower does not help. Now at this stage we get repeatedly defeated and feel helpless. So we need to undergo treatment to come out victorious against these inner demons. We will see what those means are. So it's like with willpower, in the initial stage, when there are some drifting, we go off track, with our willpower, we can come on track. But we go off track often, and by going off track often, we created a history of often going off track, and then we created we get addicted to certain things. Then the willpower alone may not become helpful. We need to undergo proper process. We need to undergo proper treatment. And that treatment comes by way of 3 R's. We have regulation, redirection, and reconstruction. Now assume there is a slope to the floor. The slope ensures that whenever the water is poured on one side, it flow in the direction of a slope. If the slope is this way, then if you put water here, it will naturally flow here. So this is like how our tendencies are, and that's why it's become very difficult to push water in the other direction. And what we then need to do is these 3 things: regulation, reconstruction, and redirection and reconstruction. So regulation, So we looked at the verses. This is the third chapter 40th and 41st verse. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust, and through them Lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of lust by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Slay. That's why how to slay demon inside us. So by regulation, initially the regulation will help. And the regulating senses, the regulation is applicable predominantly to the senses, and the focus is more on lust. And the lust is lust. It can be kama is translated in more places as lust, but in general it can be understood as as a very strong attachment to anything. That can also be understood as a karma, and it will all of this will lead to fall to the that we saw in the 62nd and 63rd verse of second chapter, the dhyato vishan punsah sangasteshu pajayate, and everything will ultimately lead to the downfall of ours. But predominantly it is with lust, which is considered to be the destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So that can be controlled by regulation. Regulative principles that are designed are supposed to keep us away from indulgences, wrong indulgences, bring purification, so that knowledge can be cultivated, and whatever knowledge has been cultivated, that can be protected. It's both are required, and for that it cannot remain, knowledge cannot remain protected under in contaminated situation. So we all know the pastime of Ajamil. Now Ajamil was sent to forest by his father to bring some wood for yajna, where he's a Brahmana. He was a good Vedic Brahmana having full knowledge of Vedas. He was not an ordinary person. But when we saw a prostitute enjoying with her with a man, it's not that at first sight he fell for that prostitute. He fought a very hard, long battle with his mind, bring up all the knowledge that he had to explain to the mind why what was proposed by mind was not appropriate, why he should reject. But he got defeated. He got defeated by the mind, and then whatever we know later that followed, he brought that prostitute home. He threw his parents out. He begetted a lot of children from that prostitute. The last child was named as Narayan, and he got attached to that Narayan. And at the moment of death, he chanted name of his son, and then Yamadutas came, Vishnudutas came. All that happened later, but at the beginning, he never wanted, he tried his best using knowledge to fight with his inner demons, but he was unsuccessful. He was defeated by the situation. So the four principles given by Prabhupada of no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no intoxication, those are meant for our purification, so that new knowledge or spiritual knowledge can be cultivated, and cultivated spiritual knowledge can remain protected. Otherwise, these four things can destroy everything and anything that we possess. Destroy our spiritual life completely. It doesn't get destroyed, means for this birth at least this will get destroyed, and in the next birth, whenever we meet devotees from wherever we left off, we will restart, but a lot of time will be lost in the process. So we should not really take that chance. And hence we should protect ourselves from those four regulative principles. Protect the knowledge that we possess, and we are trying to cultivate both. One should restrain the redirection. The redirection comes when we are protecting, when we are restricting ourselves, regulating ourselves. There is a sense of deprivation that comes, which means that whenever I have to say no, the propositions keep coming from my mind. Hare Krishna. Somebody is unmuted. Okay, so different proposition desires are there, the propositions are there, previous indulgences are there, previous impressions are there, but now I am in devotee association, so I keep saying no, no, no to everything that proposes, mind proposes, I keep saying no. Now that's good. You need to regulate yourself. If you're an alcoholic, you should not have stock of alcohol in your house. Obviously, this is, you create a distance from those sense object which tempt you, which is taking you in the wrong direction, and which is not letting you perform bhakti. So you obviously you create a distance from those sense objects. So, but there is a sense of deprivation in this. One is constantly saying no, 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 no to those desires. So desires, so mind is not purified, and that purification that way is a long process. So simultaneously, while we say no to those things, we need to cultivate right knowledge. We need to redirect our consciousness to right activities. And for this, we see in the example of Ambarish Maharaj, who says that in the 61st verse of 2nd chapter, Krishna says that the object of the controlled senses need to be controlled, and object of the controlled senses is Krishna. The controlled senses ko object kya hai? If you control the senses, then what? Then invest them in Krishna, direct them towards Krishna, and that way they will always remain happy. You will always enjoy bliss in the spiritual happiness. You will actually enjoy spiritual happiness. And the example is that given that of Ambarish Maharaj, who engage all his senses, the word, the feet, the word, the Gyanendriya and Karmendriya, he engaged in service of Krishna, and thereby he experienced spiritual bliss. He was extremely happy, and he could remain purified in this process, because he was not letting his senses. So rather than only regulating senses, if we give a positive input to those senses, if we engage those senses in the positive activity, spiritual activity, then those senses becomes purified. Not only purified, but becomes satisfied also, because now they have some object which is far better than the previous one. And the reconstruction is where so the redirection. So we had the first we had regulation. Regulation is not letting water fall, but water is there, it will fall. Redirection is pushing the water upwards by hand, but when the water flow is small, or quantity of water is small, we are able to do that. But when water flow is big, then even the redirection may not help. At some stage, we have to reconstruct ourselves. Reconstruction happens when we develop taste for devotional activity. Is when the floor is like this, it's how it requires a lot of effort to put water, move water in the opposite direction. But if we make the floor flatter, then it's easy. And so what we need to do here is the reconstruction, change the slope. And the change the slope can happen by changing our values and likings and our indulgences. Now, our values of what we like and what we value in our life, when those are changed from material to spiritual, by spiritual practice, by devotional service, then at some stage will consider those indulgences as lower indulgences, and we will not be tempted by those. So we've used the word 2.59, where Krishna says that though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains, but ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So one can become fixed in consciousness. The whole floor get reconstructed if we can relish the taste in the spiritual activity. If we can develop a taste for spiritual activity, a likings for spiritual activity, we make spiritual activity as our values, we change our values, then we consider attachment to Krishna as a measure of success for our life. We direct all our activities for the pleasure of Krishna and his devotees. when that reconstruction happens, then the lower things will also remain, because they have not completely gone out of us. Our hardware is same, our software is same, so they will be there, but they will be very weak, they will be deep down there, and they will not pop up their head often. Even if they do, we are easily able to say no to them, because we have experienced higher taste, we have experienced higher happiness, we have experienced spiritual happiness, we have experienced connection with Krishna, which gives us spiritual bliss. When we experience that, this lower happiness, we are easily able to say no. This is reconstruction. Everything starts with faith. Everything starts, all these activities begin with a basic faith, some positive inquisitiveness that we have, with which we go to devotees and we inquire from them. We get connected, sadhu sangha, we do sadhu sangha, we associate with devotees and ask questions, hoping that we get answers, and we get answers, we get bhajan kriya, we perform bhajan kriya. A sadhu will engage us in bhajan kriya. A real sadhu, a real devotee will engage us in bhajana kriya. Hearing and chanting of Krishna's name, he will immediately tell us the importance of cultivating the remembrance of Krishna for our life. And when we do that process, when we accept that process and try and do it with all our sincerity, we experience anartha nivritti. Now this is bottom up. Faith, basic shraddha, sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti is where we see substantial reduction in anarthas. Now we are not working on each of those anarthas individually, but when we do proper bhajana kriya under guidance of devotees, by following all the regulative principles, all the good qualities start manifesting in us. We are, while we are doing bhakti, if we do it with ruchi, if we do it with taste, then it starts just like how negative actions created negative impressions, positive spiritual actions create spiritual impressions, and those impressions help, the presence of those positive impressions help us to get rid of our negative impressions. Anartha nivritti happens. Lust, anger, greed start reducing. Their tapa start reducing. The ability to cause us harm, that starts reducing, and that's called anartha nivritti. And this happens by replacing those anartha, by bringing in the positive energies, by bringing in those when those 26 qualities which Krishna explained in the first 3 verses, when they start manifesting, the other negative qualities start going down. Their influence, they become less influential, they become less powerful, and these 26 qualities start manifesting in us in different proportion, but they take care of those negative qualities. And when we see positive change in ourselves, our faith, original shraddha, becomes nishtha, and then we perform same process of devotional service wholeheartedly. Now we join session without reminders, we come to temple without anybody calling us, we offer ourselves for services without people pushing us, we show up for book distribution just by seeing the message, we find out when the next book distribution is going to happen. So this is ruchi, this is asakti, that gives us bhava, and ultimately we go to the prema. So this is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the 9 steps of devotional success. Now to summarize, and then we will go to question answer. We all have demons inside us in form of uncontrollable self-destructing urges that are within ourselves. Now, due to frequent indulgence, these propositions have got their strength, whatever that they possess today. They are very strong inside us, and the battle within nobody can see, but I experience, and I'm extremely tired fighting those battles. We all experience this, but due to frequent indulgence, only these have gone the momentum, these have gone the velocity that they possess, these have got the power that they have today, and that's using that they overpower our meek voice of truthfulness, small voice of righteousness. that gets defeated often, and one feels helpless in front of those desires. So when it's become very difficult to refute for the soul, even if it does not want, it is dragged in wrong direction practically. So it becomes, but it is not impossible. It is not impossible. It is difficult, but it is not impossible to defeat those negative propositions. It is difficult. One has to put in effort of pressing backspace. When the Bollywood.com appear in front of me, I actually need to use delete button or need to use the backspace button to go and delete all letters till I reach B again, and then I start typing from there bhagwadgita.com. So it's difficult, but it is not impossible. It requires effort. It does not just happen by my will कि मुझे तो करना नहीं है. Intent मुझे पता है, but hardware को पता नहीं है. So hardware can cheat us. Hardware doesn't know our intent. Though our soul knows it and our mind may know it, but hardware gives us that, and we may just indulge into that. Again, forgetting what our original purpose was. So the hardware and the software both need to be worked upon, and for that willpower alone is not enough. We need to take up the process. The process is that of bhakti yoga, hearing and chanting and other 9 processes of devotional service, but predominantly hearing and chanting leading to remembrance of Krishna and serving Krishna and his devotees practically. So those actions, when we perform with ruchi, or with wholeheartedly, with all proper emotions, they increase our devotional actions and devotional impressions in our mind. Just like previously we were creating we were indulging into material actions and creating material impressions. Now we are bringing in devotional impressions in our mind, and these devotional impressions also work in the same way, that they will give you devotional propositions. When you develop liking for kirtan, wherever there is a kirtan, my proposition will come from mind. Let's go and watch the kirtan. Let's go and attend kirtan. Let's go and sing in the kirtan. Wherever we see devotees standing at signal distributing books, and if you have done this activity in past, there are sufficient impressions about it. Wherever you see them doing, you will want to go and help them do that. Again, you will also join the group and start distributing books, standing at that signal in the dhoop, in the sun. So devotional impressions will create devotional propositions. They will come from mind. The mind can also help us actually. When we have trained it correctly, it can become our friend. Now the mind has become our friend because it is giving us devotional propositions, and these devotional propositions will become eventually devotional addictions. Yesterday Ramru Prabhu very beautifully explained that if you are sitting in bus and if it's morning time and if you are trying to remember Putna, or if it's afternoon time and you are trying to remember Damodar Lila, how Krishna was tied to the mortar, and how Krishna was getting scared seeing the stick in the hand of his mother, and so he and it brings smile on your face, that how how beautiful Krishna was looking at that time, and how Balramji came and he inquired who tied you to this mortar, and when he says mother, then he starts shouting him that I told you so many times, don't do this thing, don't do that thing. Now you have landed up yourself in a mess. Now you go figure out. And how they all cheat him, they all laugh at him, they all make fun of him, and how Krishna, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, plays such a part, such a sweet part in this pastime of by taking such a minuscule position, by such a position where he is being where he becomes the object of everybody make fun of him. Everybody did he danced to other people's tune. Why will he do that? He is Supreme Lord, but he mercifully agrees to do that. And seeing this beautiful pastime, remembering this beautiful pastime in the afternoon sun, sitting in the bus, BST bus, you smile, and then when people say पागल आदमी है, पता नहीं क्यों हंस रहा है, मन ही मन, then you have perfected your devotion, you are making progress in your devotion. So So that's devotional addiction. That's, you can conclude that now you're addicted to Krishna, or at least you're on the path of getting addicted to Krishna. Uh, George Harrison had asked this question to Srila Prabhupada. He had indulged into drugs before he met Prabhupada, and at that time he had actually promoted taking drugs through his songs, and he used to people on his concerts, live concerts, people used to come after taking a lot of drugs. They used to smoke in that concert, and he was like their god for those drug addicts. And but eventually, so Prabhupada knew his background. So when he asked this question, who is real guru, Prabhupada answered, was that the one who is addicted to Krishna is real guru. The one who is addicted to Krishna, addiction is bad, but Prabhupada said that one who is addicted to Krishna is a real guru, because he know nothing other than Krishna, and he can give you nothing else but Krishna. And that's your success as a devotee, as a disciple. This is your success, because to get a guru who is addicted to Krishna, he know nothing else other than Krishna, and he can only give you Krishna. He possesses nothing. So that is addiction. So addiction is also positive when it is in connection with Krishna. So don't try to do it alone, or take assistance from devotees. Now one may think कि ये सब मुझे अकेले करना है. The answer is no. It's very difficult. It's for theory, let's say it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult. So why create a hurdle in your path? Have a devotee with whom you can reveal your anarthas, you can reveal your heart, and that devotee will guide you in a trusted way. So the instructions are given common to the group in a classroom, but private conversations can happen and should happen. One should reveal one's heart. Guhyam akhyati pruchatam. Guhyam are the secrets. These are deep, dark secrets of our minds. And we may want to fight it all ourselves with them, but it will be good if we take assistance. Our fight become easier. Instead of we alone fighting, now two of us are fighting. That devotee can help us fight. The devotee will not give you new mantras necessarily, but devotee can pay more attention to you. He can be more he will be more careful while dealing with you, knowing that the weakness that one may share with him, and knowing that weakness, he may help us overcome that much quickly than otherwise we can do ourselves. So don't try to do it alone. Take a trusted assistance. Don't Again, trusted assistance need to be sought in a private conversation, not necessarily in a public debate or in a classroom, because this is we may have a negative blood report, but that need not be published on the television. I may consult a doctor who can guide me with suitable medicines, suitable do's and don'ts to overcome that, but that need not really become a public information. And that way that will not do good to me, neither to do good to anybody else. So I should take the assistance from devotees. And if you can get addicted somehow to the process of hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna's name, singing his glories, and remembering him always, our job is done for this lifetime, and we will not have to take birth. So this is the only lifetime that we will end up having, and we will go back to Krishna. So the facility for this is hearing and chanting is provided in the morning. All the many devotees are taking benefit. I request everyone to join and take benefit in the morning japa and evening reading sessions. We'll go to the question answer sessions. Yeah. Go to the chat box if you have any questions. You can raise hand or you can ask questions if you have. All 6 anarthas are prevalent qualities of most of the rich people, and world tag these successful people having great qualities. In fact, they are awarded for these qualities. Kali Yuga, you can expect that. Lust, anger, greed. Greed is good. I think Wall Street, there was a movie where a famous character says this, greed is good. So you can expect that happening in the Kali Yuga. It will happen more as the world progresses, but greed will lead to hankering, and whatever we possess, that will be lost, and then we will have lamentation. So it will just create a bigger mess for us to resolve going forward. Mentality, people very closely, mostly rich, who have disturbed me greatly by their negative actions. So-called educated people that too have no answers for their behavior. Thanks for highlighting this topic. Yes, Mataji. We at times we feel bewildered that how can a gentle looking person can speak such harsh words with us, and that can happen. And when we get surprised, this is the background. They're probably now we will it will be difficult for them also to pinpoint what is the root cause, whether it came from the indulgences in this birth or indulgences for my last birth, or the tendencies which I developed in the previous birth. But it's all their accumulation. It's all in their kitty, and that is popping up every now and then, and forcing them to act in the way that they acted. They hurt people. They create a lot of negativity amongst the people surrounding people, and that's the reality. So by understanding them, we can protect ourselves, or we can understand our actions better, current actions as well as past actions, and we can protect ourselves from getting into this trap by creating positive impressions. That's why the daily hearing and chanting process is so crucial, where the negative sentiments are available everywhere. The lust is you watch TV for 5 minutes and you will see 10 lusty images in through advertisements or through whatever different Bollywood songs or Hollywood songs, whatever comes up, the movies, even the cartoons are not free from lusty talk or lusty discussions and lusty actions or lusty intentions. Everything is so available on a platter today, now in the digital arena that we all live in. So it's very difficult to protect ourselves from these actions. So this is the protection that we are taking ourselves. If you watch TV for 5 minutes, you will have a lot of exposure to all these 6 anarthas, and when they are thrown at you, and we also would have had previous indulgences, it's very difficult to catch our attention for these anarthas. They are not foreign to us completely. Today we may be trying to restrain ourselves, regulate ourselves from these activities, but historically, we were there doing those things. So those anarthas, by frequent exposure to those the Bollywood, the Hollywood, Tollywood, or whatever, television, and the pornography, the over excessive use of internet, where everything is available without any restrictions, we make ourselves vulnerable. We make ourselves vulnerable, and it's not good to test our progress in this way, because we may surprise ourselves by falling down. And hence we should protect ourselves by association of devotees, by closely associating with devotees, by daily chanting and by daily hearing activities, so that this remembrance of Krishna is also very fresh in our mind. So whenever we see these indulgences, whenever we see those temptations coming to us, either from within or from outside, we are getting strong remembrance of Krishna. So with Krishna's remembrance, we are able to say no to those. By our own effort, we may fight for a while, but we will eventually get defeated. That's That's the nature of Maya Devi. We can't defeat her. But with Krishna on our side, we can deal with her much better. Swapnil Prabhuji has answered. Nitu Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandatrana. My question is, sorry, where is my question is, many times we consult devotees, but I have seen the matter goes like gossip, and I avoid to share to not get into a mess. So is it important whom I share to reveal our mind? Yes, you should not reveal it with, so when we say devotees, so if we go to temple, everybody is a devotee. Everyone who is wearing tilak, dhuti, kurta, that's externally our sign of a devotee. And that's true. They are all trying at their level to progress towards Krishna. When the question is that like this, okay, I need to share some confidential information, I need to be choosy. I need to, it's like choosing a doctor. There are hundreds of doctors in my city, but I go to a doctor, trusted doctor only. And even if I had to consult some specialist, I go through him. Whoever he recommends, I go to. But if I Google and randomly I pick up doctor, I have a chance of getting cheated. I may not really get cured by those medicines. He could be a young doctor, just passed out, must be experimenting with me. I might be his first patient ever. And then, I might get a bad experience. Now, not that all doctors are bad. It's wrong to say that all doctors are bad, because I went to one doctor and he was bad. That's very premature conclusion. So one should be extremely careful about choosing with whom we share our heart. And that can come through by consulting our seniors. We should do that. And by seniors, again, those who are guiding us. There will be people who are constantly guiding us. If you don't go to temple for 3-4 consecutive Saturdays, somebody is calling you, why you're not coming? Now doesn't have a job to do that. Nobody has to do it. But if somebody has taken that pain to guide us in our difficult times, maybe that person is someone with whom we can share our heart. So we have to choose wisely, and we have to reveal this fact that this is what I am sharing with you, and I don't want this to become a public knowledge. We can do that, but again, if we have one bad experience, need not go lead to a conclusion that everything is bad. It just suggests that we need to be more choosy. We need to be more careful. Another question is what to do when we don't have any chance of reliable physical association and family members don't want us to follow regulations like no onion, no garlic tea, coffee, and give contrary impositions against bhakti. So this is possible. This happens. So at some stage in our life, if again, the answer could be different for a person in going through a different stages of life. So if I'm a student, I'm probably a young graduate or a person who is still struggling to get a job or complete my MBA, complete my engineering, and then struggle for campus and job. I'm probably going through that phase in my life. Then taking this battle on is a difficult proposition. What there we can do is, yesterday Ramru Prabhuji explained very beautifully. Your mind is with you. Nobody can dictate your mind, and your body is with you. Nobody can take away that body from you. So using your mind, body, words, you can perform devotional service. So they may take away your bead bag, or they may take away the images of Krishna from home. They may force you to eat things which you are not wanting to eat now, having coming to the devotee association. But but the devotional service is as much done externally as it is done internally as well. So internally, they cannot stop you from remembering Krishna, because what gives inside me only I know. So just like the inner battles only I know. I may smile externally, it may not appear to the person outside that what is going on in my mind. Similarly, I can cultivate Krishna consciousness in my mind, and that also people outside will never come to know. Now, but different stages in life, we will have different situations and different practical solutions can be applied. So in the student phase, this could be the this could be the solution that we may try and apply. At later stage, if we are a grahastha, settle down with our life and doing things on our own, taking our own decision, choosing our got married, have children. Now at that stage, one should be able to convince our family members that you are convinced, you are trying to follow a different kind of lifestyle, and you're inspired by that, and you don't think that is wrong. It is not unethical, it is not immoral, it is not illegal. It is not illegal to be a prasad eating person. It is not, there is nothing immoral in it, there is nothing unethical in it. In fact, this is devotional, this is divine. So this is purification. Only with purification one can come to this. So if at all, this is more sattvic. So others may struggle with it, but if you feel inspired to follow this in your life, and if you are in a stage where you are fairly independent and you have ability to take your own decisions, you have ability to decide where to go for vacation, you have ability to decide which company to work with, and you have ability to decide which girl to get married, and you have other things, other decision making abilities. This one decision making also one should do. And once you do it with conviction, you may explain this to our loved ones so that they cooperate. They don't if you change tomorrow the company where you are working, or if you give up job and start your own business, what how much what our parents are going to say, what our neighbors are going to say, what our relatives are going to talk about it. They may say a few things here and there, but they will not. They'll say, you go figure out. If it's business, if you think you can make more money in business than job, please do it. And the vice versa. So if you change one company, go to another company, how much of your relatives will talk about it? They may talk for a while and then they give it up. So one should be able to convince others not to follow what you are trying to follow, but to allow you to follow what you want to follow. Utna to we should be able to do. And again, it's at times those loved ones could be our parents, and then or in-laws, or those are like those whom with whom we are connected emotionally. So these are again never, those discussions will also not be very easy, but they are important for our purification, for our progress. And at this stage, our parents, if they are old, they may not be able to fully appreciate and understand what we are trying to do. And so let them do what they want, but allow you to, but please request them to allow you to do what you want. Now there is a tough position that at times we may have to take, and we may take that position if we are in an appropriate stage in our life. In student life, such positioning is difficult. There we obey our parents, and at some stage we can take this position and then allow parents or our other people who are disturbing us to live their life in their way. We don't make a rule that from now onwards, if we can, we should do that as well. That if now onwards we will not purchase only onion and garlic, and whoever does not like this idea can leave this home and get out. That can be another extreme way of implementing law. If we are in authority, we should do that in a much better way, not in this way. Please get out. No, that might not be, but you can convince fairly that the food need to be tasty. End of the day, most people have this problem, and the food can be made tasty. You can take them to Govinda's for dinner and lunches, and then they will understand how tasty food can be cooked even without onion garlic, and that's all that they probably want at this stage. And we understand the importance of eating prasad. It's not about just onion garlic, and then we can offer and eat and give them prasad. Eventually, they will get the taste of eating prasad. They will get hooked. They will get addicted to the eating prasad. So different stage we can apply these principles differently, but again, it can be struggle. It can be hard work for us. The solutions might not be easy to implement. It will be easy for me to speak, but and we can consult our devotees, devotee friends who are guiding us for this. Don't see any other questions. Yeah, there are no questions in the chat box. We are done with us. So let's close today's session. Thank you very much, everyone, for patiently staying back and listening to the question answers as well. And we'll continue with this journey next week with more descriptions of demonic activities and the conclusion of this chapter in the next session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.